Welcome to Prolific Mind Podcast. I am your host, Anquinette Irvin. This podcast is geared towards promoting mental wellness and personal development. You can support the podcast by sharing with at least 3 other people and also sharing it on your social media platform. You can leave an Apple review. Also, the podcast is now located on YouTube. You have to type in Prolific Mind. And I realized I haven't been here since August. I am not consistent with putting out content, and that's something that I want to start doing. And I know I've been saying this since last year. But it goes to show you that, one, I am human. I fall short as well, just like anyone else. And this is why I created this podcast, to show flaws and all, and that we're all going through the same things and just dealing with life. So I wanted to do this episode on love and basketball. So Saturday I went to cinema. I forgot the name of it. In Miami. It's rooftop. But they only had like old movies playing. And it's crazy because I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw someone posted that. And I was like, I want to go there. And someone asked me, did I want to go there? Which was crazy. Everything just aligned and worked itself out within that same time. So I was like, every time you watch something different or read something different, you see something new that you didn't see the last time. So something new that I've noticed that I didn't notice, and probably because I wasn't aware of this person at the time, was that Monica's mother was reading Toni Morrison book. Also, just to look at it from a different lens as an adult, because I saw Love and Basketball when I was a child. That was one of my favorite movies. I can repeat everyone word from word with that movie. I literally used to sit in front of my TV with my red chair just watching it. But I wanted to look at the different stressors that not just Monica and Quincy faced in the movie, but also their parents. And I'll start with Monica, because sometimes, as it relates to mental health or mental wellness, most people think of a crisis or bipolar or schizophrenia or something that's not wrong with me. It can be small stressors that people are dealing with, and you need help with processing those emotions or putting words and feelings to what you are feeling, which is why it's important to reach out to a therapist so that you know that you don't have to do this alone. And I understand that there are barriers that people go through to get to therapy. So I'm going to start with Monica. So Monica, I realized they was telling her about her temper. Her basketball coach, Quincy, told her too about her temper. And I remember, I think it was the championship game. My heart just went out to Monica, where they were playing basketball and she grabbed the girl's arm, and then there was a technical foul and she was like, for what? And then I noticed that when Monica get frustrated, she grabbed her head. Go back and watch the movie. I think I noticed Monica did that 3 times where she grabbed her head. And I think when people grab their head, it's either, okay, maybe I'm frustrated, I'm confused. But she do tend to react out of emotion, which, okay, she's in high school. She don't know what to do with her emotion or process it. She told Q, because I'm a female, I get told to calm down and act like a lady. I'm just playing ball. But, everyone was telling her about her attitude. So for me, I like to look at what is underneath. Let's pull back that layer, because her anger and her frustration is the tip of the iceberg. But what's underneath that? From the story, I think it's their senior year. Let's process senior year. You're thinking about, what's my next move? Where do I go from here? Am I going to college? Am I going to get a job? I'm just looking at the overall scheme of, high school. Monica's perspective what college I'm going to get into. Thinking about recruiters. Remember, she was like, the recruiters was there and coach had me riding the bench. And when she's riding the bench, that means if I'm not in the games, the recruiters can't see what I'm capable of doing. So she was also worried about that. Think about her relationship with her mother, where her mother was more of, prissy and baking things, and Monica wanted to play basketball. Her mother was telling her about putting on a dress. And was it her mother that said you would look pleasant if you would just smile? And as an adult, when she came back home, her mother was like, it didn't matter if I was to your games or not. And Monica was like, it mattered, Mom. So her dad and her sister was supportive and coming to her games, but I think she said her mother only came to at least 3 of her games. So Mom wasn't present at the game. Maybe she feeling like she's not good enough to her mother's standards. They was bumping heads. So maybe she feel like, okay, my mom don't like me. And, people associated with saying all she's cared about was basketball. So the relationship dynamic with her mother, her senior year, worrying about recruitment. And let's talk about the relationship with Q. Go back to your high school years. I know some of you all may have to go way, way back. I get that from Better, right? But yes, just thinking about the time when you was a teenager in high school, like putting yourself in her shoes, and what are some of the stressors that you dealt with. And relationships can be a lot, where she never came forth to tell Q that she liked him. But however, remember when Shawnee Easton gave her the note and she was saying give it to Q? She was kind of a little jealous or whatever. And then think about when she was in Jason's ride with the guy, and I think she said he was touching on her. And then he drove her home after she wouldn't advance on his passes. So just going through that, stepping out of her comfort zone of putting on a dress. But let me just go back to the relationship with the mom before I even get into it with the Q. And her mom told her she admired her for, what did mom admire her for? I guess like standing up for herself, knowing what she wants. I think mom said she admired knowing what she wants. And Monica mom was like, if it makes me prissy because I'd rather bake than make a stupid jump shot, then that's just too bad. And I think Monica was saying that wasn't the case because her mom was prissy. The case for her was you never stood up for yourself. She like, you at home, iron your husband's drawers. And that's when her Monica slapped her. Oh, Monica. So her mother admired Monica's strong will of knowing what she want. Mom was explaining to her that she did have things she wanted to do prior to becoming a mother. And that just made me think of one of my professors where she was saying, make sure you all reach back to, the elders in your family and get in their story. Because some people do have stories before kids and what they wanted to do. And I was able to talk to one of my aunts on my father's side because it was a project that we had to do, the family tree. So rest in peace to my aunt. I love her so much. She recently passed in 2021. So, just reaching back and hearing people's story instead of judging. And Monica mom was like, I was able to sit home and, see you all go off the prom, because most mothers have to work and you don't get to see that. So I think mom was saying I had the luxury of being home with you all. And then she said, I remember putting my mother pearls around your neck. But mom did have things that she wanted to do prior to becoming a mom. So just sitting back and understanding. And sometimes you don't get that understanding until you are an adult and you learning things and you asking these different type of questions. But I'm glad they was able to talk. And her mother did tell her, when I said that Q can do better, I was talking about you. So that's another part that I liked about the movie. So that's Monica aspect. So the stressors that Monica was dealing with were, college recruitment, relationship with Q because it was up and down with him dealing with different women and college recruitment, family problem, with mother. And also, let's go into college when she went into college as a freshman. And the girl was like, I'll be dang if I let a freshman take my spot. So they was hard on her as a freshman, which she thought her coach was hard on her. And coach called her in the office and was like, when I don't say something to you, that's when you should worry. But letting Monica know that she stayed on her because she saw so much potential. In the midst of Q finding out about his father divorce, he was seeing different women because he felt that Monica wasn't there. But, she was at practice and just dealing with things related to basketball. And then he was like, if you care so much about basketball, then why are you with me? So that stressor of doing what I love and also trying to maintain a relationship with this person that's dealing with his own stuff that has nothing to do with me, but the anger is misplaced. And Quincy covered that up by what women and alcohol. Let's talk about substance use because he was drinking. Not saying that he was addicted or anything like that, but he was learning how to cope by using alcohol. So Monica was dealing with that. Just going to college is an adjustment itself. So that's an adjustment. So for anything, these children, Monica and Q, were dealing with adjustment. That's something you can go to therapy for. Adjusting to college. His parents are now divorced. That's an adjustment. Both of them went off to college. Family relational problem. That's something you can go to therapy for. Therapy doesn't always look like anxiety, depression, and so forth. And it also look like those things as well. But we have other things that we can go to therapy for. So now I'm going to segue into Quincy. Quincy's father was in the NBA, and then he turned into a recruit. So let's think about Quincy, where he may felt like he had to live up to his dad's standard or be better than his dad or be like his dad. Dad was never home, right? It's always a business trip at work. He was not home. Lo and behold, when his father sat him down and talked to him about this possible a paternity test, someone saying that the baby is his, and he told Q that it's not true. And then he was like, it's not true, right? He looked this pop in his eyes. You can tell people, sometimes you can't tell people anything about their parent. So when he came, he saw his mother outside drinking, and he was like, the last time you was drinking like this, I forgot what he related it to. Mom looked at stress in her face. Like, you can tell she was dealing with something. It showed all in her face. Let's pivot back to, because that happened in college. But I remember when his mom was arguing with his father, but not being home. And he was like, I got just no savings to keep your fine. It's in Gucci and gold. And she threw her stuff and was like, I told you to keep your A home. So he got out the bed and went to Monica's house. So, he hearing his parents argue. On top of that, now we're going to segue back into college where he's seeing his mom outside. And he yelling at his mom like, you're going to take some trick word over Pop? How many times you told me to watch out for these females? And she was like, I should have been telling that to your father. Quincy was in denial until the mother pulled out the pictures to show evidence of, your dad has been sleeping around. Quincy developed, anger towards his father, which, like I said, that's the tip of the iceberg. But maybe hurt. Hurt is something that he was dealing with. The man that I trusted, my father, he said he didn't expect that. So that's a low blow. That's the hurt. And he tore his ACL in college. So he weren't able to focus on one game because he just found out about, the infidelity. Then his parents had a divorce. Father infidelity, the divorce, and then the potential of having another baby. That's 3 things right there that Q was dealing with. So he weren't able to focus in the game. They lost. And it just shows you people are rooting for you when you're doing well, but where are people when you're doing bad? Like the other player was walking off. The people in the crowd was booing. We don't have people that's going to ride with you through the good and the bad. It's just they with you on your way up. So he wasn't able to focus. He masking it up with sleeping with different women and telling Monica she wasn't there for him. He was like, you forgot to be there. And she probably didn't know how to be there for him. I mean, they're still young. I don't know how to be there for someone that's going through all this. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. She was doing the best that she could with all that she knew. So that's something else that Quincy was facing. And they were able to get it all back together towards the end. But the reason I was like, you know what? I'm going to do an episode on this. Because I wanted to show you that there are different layers to mental health and wellness. It doesn't always look like a crisis. And to him and to Monica, that could have been a crisis, right? Crises look different for different people. So you can go to therapy for relational problems, communication problems, parents divorcing, because sometimes kids act out. No one sat down and processed that with them. You know, people only sometimes worry about their feelings, not checking in with the child. Or the child might say, you know what, I'm okay. But having them to talk to someone else besides the parent. Someone that helps them put language to how they feel. You can go to play therapy. Although, you know, Q and Monica was grown. I'm just saying the overall scheme of different things that you can go to therapy for adjusting to college. That's overwhelming. So there was a lot of major life changes that happened in Love and Basketball that covers the umbrella of mental health or wellness. We talked about like how he used substance use or women to cover up, and we know what sometimes that can lead to. So that's why I was like, you know what? That used to be my favorite movie. Now that I'm older and able to process what they were going through, let me just do an episode on it so that I can paint a picture for my listeners of different problems that people go through. That's not always schizophrenia or bipolar or anxiety or depression. It's something simple as, not simple because nothing is simple about a divorce or college transition, relationship problems, you know, telling how Monica was feeling, you know, thinking, okay, I'm not good enough for my mom, not my relationship because he's seeing different women. No one sat down with them and processed, and the pressure that it takes, even your junior year and senior year, trying to live up to someone's status or figure this thing out. Am I going to go to college? Grades. Am I going to get into the college that I want? You know, all of that can create anxiety and worry. So Love and Basketball was a great movie, I feel, for me to shed light and paint a picture for you all on mental health. I'm glad that I went to see it, although it's the old movie. When you're watching things, you just learn something new. And again, as an adult, I see it from a different perspective. And I'm glad to be back. I'm going to upload this also on YouTube. So I want you all to comment below. Like when I'm putting these episodes up, talk to me. I talk back. I like to have dialogue. But again, thanks for tuning in to Prolific Mind Podcast.